Hey everybody, welcome to this week's edition of Meta Market Weekly. I'm Justin here along with Fernando. We're excited to be here. We have a lot to talk about. Positive news, presidential candidates finally talking about crypto in a positive light, which is cool to see. We've also got a really cool speech from Robert Kennedy Jr. that I want to talk about a little bit. We're going to do a market analysis, and we've also got a lot of other topics to chat about. Fernando, how you doing today, man?
Hey, Justin, I'm doing great. Yeah, like you said, today's podcast is going to be very interesting. We're going to talk about Bitcoin. We're going to talk about some news happening in the world right now. Very interesting stuff. But before we go there, as usual, let me go ahead and share real quick my market analysis for Bitcoin. Let me start by bringing my TradingView profile. There we go. So last week we were talking about the price movement of Bitcoin, and I traced these lines and this brush line. So as you can see, it seems like the pattern is playing out perfectly. I expect this brush line that I created, I expect it to be completed within next week or 2 weeks from now. And yeah, just like you can see here on the brush line, I'm expecting the price of Bitcoin to drop somewhere around this area. So there's a major support level here. And yeah, the reason why I say this is because like I've been saying for a while now, the RSI levels here are still a little bit high. Right now, we're around 41, 42%. We need to drop a little bit further below. Somewhere around 30, 32% would be a great indicator for you and everyone to purchase assets. I personally am going to be buying more crypto, but I'm going to hold out. I'm going to wait for this level to be reached. And once we reach that level, we can expect something to happen like in January or on March, that we will probably see a quick bounce, kind of like this or this. And yeah, once we bounce from here, yeah, of course, if there's no major black swan event that could happen, because right now, as I'm very well aware that you and everyone knows, there's a situation with the US government right now that the government doesn't know if they're going to default under debt. If they do, that's a major black swan event and could send the market crashing like 40%. I really don't think this is going to be the case. I don't think it's going to happen, and we'll get into that shortly. But yeah, so once we reach this level, what I'm expecting is a quick bounce from here to here, and then gradually we're going to reach all the way to this level, which is 36K. And once we reach to this level, we have two scenarios. Either we bounce or we break the level. I am very positive that we're going to break the level because, as I've explained to you previously, when the RSI reaches very low levels, it allows the price of an asset to go up by a lot. If maybe the RSI level would have reached this area and bounced from here, maybe 36K would be a good level to be looking into. But since we're going all the way down to 30%, I really think that we're gonna break this level, and most likely we're gonna reach somewhere around here between 48K and 45K. Once we reach this level, I'm expecting something to happen like in 2020, I think it was. Yeah, it was, no, in 2019. As you can see here, the RSI level reached overbought, which was around 78%, and then gradually started going down. And I don't think, I know I've said this before, but I'll continue to say it just in case our viewers didn't see the podcast where I was talking about it. Something like this is most likely going to happen once we reach the 45, 48K levels. But I don't think a major drawback like this one will happen again, because this happened due to COVID. When the market crashed this bad, it was because, you know, the notice from COVID came out and the government started printing money and businesses were collapsing. So this happened. So yeah, pretty much something like that is what I'm expecting to happen in the near future, maybe somewhere between, give me a second. I don't know why my chart is going all crazy. Just a second. So yeah, I am expecting this scenario to play out somewhere between June and July. I think June and July are going to be great months for the price of Bitcoin. And regarding the S&P 500, let's take a quick look. Okay, so yeah, we're still above the resistance level that we were talking about last week. So it's looking good for the stock market. However, I wouldn't go, you know, all crazy buying stocks right now, because until we do not know what's going to happen with the US government regarding the debt, the market could go sideways in an instant. And like I said, it could drop 50%. If I think I was reading an article that the government was saying that they're expecting to run out of money by early June. So I would wait for early June to see what's going to happen, to see if they're going to print more money and keep the circus going. I personally think that, you know, we're not going to default on the debt. I think that they're going to print more money. So pretty much, for those of you who are not aware, it's we have two bad situations. One, we default on the debt and the economy crashes. And two, we print more money, we keep the circus going, and we create more inflation. So, I mean, I am not pro printing more money. However, if we drop the ball right now without a plan, it's going to be very, very bad for the economy, for the American economy, and all the countries that are dependent from, you know, the American economy and the US dollar. And if we kick the can and we print more money, you know, we're going to have sorry guys, I think the connection dropped, but we're back. So I was saying that I don't think that we're going to default on the debt, because it's going to be way worse than you know, printing money. Even though printing money is still not good, is not the perfect solution, we need to have a plan before we stop printing money, because if we do, it's going to be terrible for the economy. Which brings me to the first article that I wanted to share with you guys, is that the White House is saying that you know, 8 million jobs will be lost if the US defaults on its debt. So it's going to be terrible. Not only is the market going to crash, but millions of people are going to lose their jobs, and a lot of businesses are going to close. Why?
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. They're not going to allow it to happen. And it doesn't make sense, you know, because they have no plan. So far, they have not said that, you know, they have a plan to fix the economy, to reduce inflation. Right now, they're just winging it. So it doesn't make sense. I am very confident that they're going to print more money, and that's going to buy them time while they figure out how they're going to fix this situation. I don't know if you want to jump in and give your thoughts on the situation, Justin.
Yeah, they're not trying to fix anything, man. They don't have anybody in this country's they have good intentions in mind. That's my opinion. But no, I mean, on this debt ceiling issue, they've increased the debt ceiling. I believe it was 23 or 25 times. Don't quote me on that, but sometime in the 20s since the beginning of this country. They're going to do it again. They always do it. This is manipulation. I was actually even thinking this morning that this is actually could be part of a scheme to make money as well, because, you know, they can control the way that these negotiations actually look and go back and forth, which actually manipulates the markets. So if they know this, then they can buy low, sell high, do it a few times during this time. But this is typically what happens. We'll most likely have a deal at the 11th hour. They'll pull it down at 11:59 p.m. on May 31st, and we'll wake up on June 1st, and everybody will be happy. at least the illusion of happiness, I should say.
Yeah,
And yeah, so I mean that's really what I think.
like they always do, right?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But like we've been saying all this time, this is what happens when you rely on a centralized system. They can do
Yeah.
whatever they want.
Yeah.
There's only one point of failure, and the people behind, the door, that private group that controls what goes and what doesn't. They define the rules for everyone else. And there's really, I mean, it's the illusion of a democracy, because we don't really vote on what's going on. They do whatever they want, and then we pay the price, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that brings me to the next article that I wanted to share with you guys. Is so New York City votes to freeze deposits at Capital One Bank and K Bank. So again, this is what happens when you are a part of a centralized system. The government, the bank, whatever kind of institution you're working with in a centralized system can do whatever they want. Imagine one day you're posting something on Facebook or on Twitter that you don't agree with the way that the government or the bank that they're doing things, and they just immediately freeze your bank account. And what do? I mean, you're done. There's nothing you can do. And then maybe they'll be like, oh, well, we're also gonna freeze the bank account of all your family members and all the people you like, because screw you, we can do it. And that's to teach you and everyone that you cannot talk back about us, and we're gonna do whatever we want. So that's pretty much what's happening right now. I mean, I don't know exactly the details why New York City decided to freeze these banks, but for sure, when I share this article with you guys, you're gonna be able to find the link on the description below. But it's crazy, man. I don't know, what are your thoughts?
I agree, man. I mean, absolutely. Everything you said is spot on and absolutely right. And it's not only that, but just think about it in the way of like, let's say that you're doing something that the government doesn't like, and they decide to blackmail you and say,
Yeah,
if you don't stop doing it, we're gonna fuck up everybody's accounts around you that or that is your family, or we're gonna mess with your family's business or whatever. And this kind of
yeah,
stuff happens every day already. And it just gets worse and
yeah,
worse.
yeah, yeah. It
So
already happened in Canada with the truck drivers. I'm sure you're aware of what happened, right?
yeah, absolutely. And it happens in America every single day. I hear these stories about people who are just everyday Americans who are, running businesses, etc. And they may not, agree with the government. They may say something different, whatever, and they get penalized for that. And
Yeah,
that's supposed to be, it's not supposed to happen, but this
yeah,
happens when
exactly.
we live in this kind of, you know, communist, socialist, totalitarian environment, and we need to
Exactly.
go the other direction. So yeah,
And
man.
how do we do that? By building decentralized infrastructure.
Yes, exactly. I totally agree.
And that's what we're doing here at Meta One. So
Yeah, that's what we're doing at Meta One. That's what a lot of other people are doing in the community, and that's what it's about, And I think that's the importance of this too. It's not even a competition. It's not even about like we're cooler, they're cooler, whatever. You know what? I support and I'm into anybody who wants to build decentralized infrastructure and expand the crypto space and doing it in a honorable and ethical way. That's all what we need. We need
yeah,
people like that. We need a bigger community of people. And that's how you can get involved, I mean, I think there's too many people out there who think they're powerless and you're not, by supporting and just being involved in the community itself. It allows it to grow and to share it with other people. It's really important because the more people that we can get on board with decentralization and really have that light bulb moment that they understand what is all this crazy crypto and
yeah.
blockchain stuff. But really, if you get down to it, it's incredibly powerful. And yeah, so
Pretty much what we're doing we are building freedom. That's what we're doing. With
yeah,
code, we're giving freedom back to you.
yeah,
So that's what we're doing here. That's what everyone in blockchain is doing, because we're tired of tyranny. We're tired of being told what we have to do, how we have to think, of our banks being frozen, And that's exactly what we're doing. I mean, it's going to take time. And, the media, the government, the banks, the news, they're going to say that we're the bad guys. But, if you add up the numbers, you're going to realize who the bad guy is.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Can't agree with you.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I also wanted to talk with you, Justin, and with our viewers regarding this next article that it seems now that presidential candidates are finally embracing Bitcoin. So earlier, before we jumped into the podcast, I was talking to Justin and I was telling him how it is exciting, how Bitcoin is now a topic of presidential debate, for the future elections. Back in the day, if you mentioned Bitcoin, people were like, yeah, whatever, that new asset or Ponzi or this new coin or whatever, like people were not informed enough and Bitcoin was not relevant enough to be talked about by the government and at a presidential debate. But now it is. We can see Kennedy, DeSantis, and I don't know who else, but several presidential candidates. They're embracing Bitcoin because they know what's happening right now. They know that the government is trying to push their centralized digital currency. They're trying to push FedNow. And people are starting to realize that this is an act against the freedom of people. And now the presidential candidates are debating about these issues. I think you were telling me that Kennedy was fighting to protect every American to have the right to own Bitcoin and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. So he was a keynote speaker. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was a keynote speaker at Bitcoin 2023. His speech is about 25 minutes. It's amazing. We'll link it in the description below. But I did want to play about 3.5 to 4 minutes of it because it's really incredibly powerful. And what he's talking about is encapsulating everything we talk about on the show and the reasons why we are so passionate about blockchain and about decentralization because of the things that he's talking about, because of freedom. So let me share my screen and let me play a bit of this video for everybody.
Sure, let's do that.
Again, there it is. Share sound. All right. So
this happened on Bitcoin Miami, right?
Yes. Yeah, Bitcoin
Awesome.
Miami. I just want to preface this with I kind of started at the 2 minutes in. He's speaking about the Canadian trucker situation, and basically he starts the speech by saying, "This is how I got hooked on Bitcoin because I heard about this and I saw how crazy it was and how powerful Bitcoin is." So I'll just start playing it a little bit and see if y'all can hear it. So 1 second.
Using surveillance and data.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Monitoring technologies. Some of these lawful and peaceful protesters, none of these lawful and peaceful protesters had violated any law. They had not been charged, and they certainly had not been convicted. But suddenly they found that they could not access their money, their bank accounts, to pay their mortgages or to feed their families. When I witnessed this cataclysm, this devastating use of government repression, I realized for the first time how free money is as important to freedom as free expression. And a government that has the power to starve its citizens when they're disobedient will inevitably turn our entire country into serfs. It is the ambition of every totalitarian regime to exercise complete control over every aspect of our lives. We live at a time now that technology has dangerously expanded the capacity for governments and corporations to control our lives. distant, impersonal multinationals and authoritarian technologies have usurped the realms of human activity that were once private or held by a community. They monitor our every movement, our communications, our every transaction. And the technologies they use to monitor us can also be used to control us. Led by the United States, liberal democracies across the globe suddenly pivoted during the pandemic and used that crisis as an excuse to trample essential constitutional rights and freedoms. Governments suspended the rights to free assembly, the freedom of worship, property rights, trial by jury, and they censored free speech in the name of combating misinformation and disinformation. We lost our freedom to travel. The mandates cost us even sovereignty over our own bodies. Some might say, well, those were just temporary restrictions and temporary suspensions of our rights. But the Constitution has no pandemic exception.
What do you think about that?
No, I entirely agree, and he went straight to the point. I mean, we were just talking a few minutes ago about what happened in Canada, and I mean that's exactly for me too. That was a waking point because I realized. I mean, I've been in Bitcoin for a while now. I think I've been in Bitcoin since 2017. But when I realized what happened in Canada, that for those of you that are not aware. So the government was mandating everyone to take the COVID vaccine. Yep. And if they didn't take the COVID vaccine, they couldn't work, they couldn't go out of the country. And, you know, these truckers, they were trying to just do their job. You know, their job takes them from Canada to the United States, to Mexico. And they were not allowed to do their job because they didn't have the vaccine. So they were protesting and, you know, they were just peacefully saying that they don't agree with the way that the government was doing things. And by doing so, the government frees their bank accounts. So now they cannot, you know, do the basic stuff like pay rent, buy food, you know, like he was saying, pay the mortgages. And it's just crazy, you know, how the government has so much control over its citizens that it could just block your bank account and it's over. And when the government did this, you know, when the government froze every trucker's bank account, what happened? Bitcoin came in. A lot of people, a lot of good-hearted people started making donations to the truckers via Bitcoin so they could pay for food, they could pay for water, whatever it is that they needed, they paid it through Bitcoin. And what scares me a lot and makes me very, very angry, that eventually, you know, the government was mandating for everyone to take the COVID vaccine. And eventually, 2 years later, it turns out that the COVID vaccine was killing a lot of people, not just a few people. I mean, there's millions, a huge number of people dying due to the COVID vaccine. So the government can just go and say, whoopsie, we're sorry, but you know, we just have to follow them. Doesn't matter if they kill us, doesn't matter, you know, if something bad happens to us, they just do whatever they want and there's no consequences. So this is why we need Bitcoin. And I agree with everything he said. I hope a lot of people, you know, listen to what he was saying. I hope a lot of people listen to this podcast and realize that we need decentralized infrastructure, or else, you know, we're just going to be at the mercy of whoever's in control, and that person might not have the best intentions at all times.
Yeah, 100%. So if anybody wants to watch this whole thing, which I would highly recommend, I think it's amazing. You know, this is not an endorsement of Robert F. Kennedy as president or anything, but I think that it's really incredible. And the things that he's saying is just right on point. It's about freedom. I mean, I honestly haven't heard anyone speak like this in quite a long time, at least that has such a big audience and a big influence. So we'll link we'll put the link in the description if you want to check it out. And yeah, I just wanted to share that because I just thought it was really awesome. And the comments are even better. So many people who are just on the same on the same on plane as we are, and as I think everybody is. I mean, I really just
Yeah.
don't think that, you know, they perpetuate this idea that there's this woke kind of agenda, that there's a society that wants to embrace all of this, et cetera, et cetera. But it's really a fallacy. It's a
Yeah.
mirror. It's smoke and mirrors. The majority of people that you'll meet, at least in my experience, they want freedom. They want to be left alone by the government. They want to be able to just live their lives, prosper with their families. That's just all people want. And it's time. We got to change this world. And that's what we're doing every day. So
Absolutely.
cool. What's the next topic you got for us?
So let me go ahead and share my screen, because or did you want to say something about the Meta One coin price?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're keeping it strong here. 508.49 has been very stable lately, which like I said last week, I mean, in my opinion, in these kinds of times where we're so turbulent in the broader markets, it's incredibly powerful to see how just stable Meta One is. And
Absolutely.
that's the reason why we built it this way, because there's an incredible plethora of applications for blockchain. And I love Bitcoin. I love the concept, and I think that it's here to stay forever. It's the OG. But it's also very difficult to actually transact on a regular basis with Bitcoin because of its
Yeah.
volatility. It's so volatile that literally you can, have, it's happened to me, you have
Yeah.
whatever amount in the morning, and in the afternoon you've lost 10%. So that's why we are really working to build this utility coin that is asset backed, and that is able to be used on a regular basis for these regular purchases. And just like you and I have talked about several times, I think we agree on that, this vision that in the future we're going to need multiple different currencies, multiple different coins.
Absolutely.
We need a coin that's going to be able to measure, because we base everything off of fiat currency. So if we want to get away from fiat, we have to have some kind of unit of measurement to be able to say, a Meta One is worth X amount, right? And then there's other tokens and other projects that are going to intermix into using different things. And I think it's super cool. I think that that's what the power of this technology is. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Let's wait and see what the future is gonna bring.
Yes.
But let me I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen.
Go for it.
Just a second. There we go. So now I wanted to share this article with you guys that Hong Kong will allow now retail investors to access licensed crypto exchanges. So, I mean, it's a very interesting turn of events, because I'm sure you're aware that China was one of the first countries to ban Bitcoin, right?
Yep.
If not, they were the first ones. So China is a very interesting country, because it kind of feels like they're playing a chess game. They say a lot, but they do different things. So China kind of was promoting a lot this banning of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, because they felt, well, you know how China is. China started as a communist country. I think now they're socialist. So they like to have control over their people. And when they started suggesting that Bitcoin should be illegal, other countries started following. And I feel like United States right now, they're starting to follow that agenda, because China started it. But now it seems that China is actually way ahead, and they're actually starting to start implementing adoption for crypto and blockchain. And it's amazing, because a couple of months ago, if you were mining Bitcoin, they would take you to jail. I even read an article the other day that they were saying that if you were an international Chinese student, if you were studying in the US or in Mexico, where the laws for Bitcoin, are different, and you bought some Bitcoin in Mexico, in the US, and then you go back to China, you would go to jail. You know, I mean,
Yep.
it was that bad. You know, China was super against Bitcoin. Well,
Yep.
at least that's what the media tell us, right? Because at the end of the day, who knows what's happening in China? But now it seems that it's gonna be the other way around, and that's why I always say, watch what they do, not what they say,
Yeah.
because it is crazy. You know, the amount of manipulation from governments and markets is just incredible. And like I said, it's not just blockchain. I also wanted to share this article with you guys that China is going to launch their own backed metaverse platform.
Of
So
course they are.
yeah, so I mean, they're going all in on blockchain technology, you know, the metaverse, AI, and it's incredible how, you know, they were making the world think the blockchain is bad, that Bitcoin is bad, and now they're coming out saying that they're making their own metaverse platform and that they're adopting Bitcoin. So it's just crazy. It makes me think that you know, they're just playing a huge chess game with the rest of the world, and they seem to be super ahead because right now they have the lowest inflation numbers. You know, their GDP is going, it's increasing by a lot, and they're just doing a great job. I don't know what you think, Justin.
I don't think that China has a agenda that is a good one for anybody. I think that they are probably the totalitarian dictatorship on the planet. You know, I don't know if you've heard about any of the organ harvesting that goes on there, but there's a lot of really messed up crap that happens, and I wouldn't believe those numbers if you tried to, I don't know, pay me to believe them. I think that China really misrepresents what's happening in their country, and just like you said, we can't really know what's going on there unless we're there on the ground, because you know, they don't really tell us. This move into cryptocurrency, into blockchain, is it a good thing? From my opinion, I doubt it, but I'm not really sure what the agenda is here, but it's probably an agenda of control, just from at least the experiences and what I've seen China do in the past. But you know, of course, I always keep an open mind. It's interesting that they are doing a 180 on this, but there's some kind of ulterior agenda. I mean, we already know that they've started we already know that they are having pilot a CBDC, and you know, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the future. But in my personal opinion, I don't think that China is doing a good thing here, but that's just me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and find out. You know, China is a professional poker player. They're always bluffing and bluffing and bluffing. I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel the same way as you do, to be honest. But at the end of the day, I mean, who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? Only the future will tell if they're the good guys or the bad guys. I mean, I don't really know what to expect from a country that I'm sure you've heard. If you haven't, one guy on the internet, he was trolling the president of China, saying that he looked like Winnie Pooh. Did you hear about that one?
No, but he does.
He was trolling the president, and you know, the tweet got like 1 million views or whatever. So the Chinese president decided to ban Winnie Pooh, you know, from China. So Winnie Pooh is illegal in China. There's even, have you heard of, I'm sure you have South Park, this TV show.
Of course.
There's even an episode of South Park directed at, you know, China banning Winnie Pooh from China just because this guy was trolling the president. So, I mean, that gives me a lot of bad things to think about China. You know, if you have a president that's sensitive enough to ban you know, children story for kids just because someone in the internet is saying that he looks like him, I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Absolutely. But yeah, we'll definitely continue to keep an eye on this, and interesting, very interesting. So yeah, there's something I wanted to shift gears. I know that we talked a bit about last week, the whole Ledger fiasco, and kind of the direction that they've decided to go. Well, there has been a development in that whole story. This was a Reddit post, and trust me, I don't always believe everything I say on here on Reddit, but there's a video of the CEO of Ledger talking a bit about what would happen if a government subpoenaed them and what they would do in terms of giving or over your three encrypted shards or not. So just to give a little background to everybody who doesn't know, they're probably thinking, everyone's thinking, what the hell is a shard? So basically, the seed phrase that your wallet, your crypto wallet has, which is basically the way that you recover the wallet, is broken up into 3 different pieces and then put on 3 different partitions on the actual hardware wallet that are encrypted. So this is only supposed to be recoverable by the actual owner of the hard wallet. We obviously discussed last week about the ridiculous service that they're introducing with an upgrade to firmware, where now they are able to basically restore access to your ledger without, they are able to do that. They're able to control how to restore it. So I wanted to share this. This is the Ledger CEO. So this is about 1.5 minutes long. Let's listen.
99% of the cases, there is no collusion that is really possible between the 3 entities. And, the way that this is built, but we've released a lot of content. The way that this is built, you can only, only the user can sort of call back the 3 shards. The only concern really is if we get subpoena by a government to say now, this user specifically, we would like you to, retrieve the 3 shards, etc. So that's not a real concern in the end, because for several reasons. One, you only get subpoena like this by governments if it's a serious act, like, terrorism, drugs, etc., etc. Like, it's not true that the average person gets subpoenaed every day.
Can I just interrupt there? Coinbase had all their customer data subpoenaed by the IRS.
John Doe.
Yeah, and so they had to supply every customer. Was it over $10,000 or 20,000?
20,000.
20,000
over a 3-month rolling period.
And they gave all. Their
Coinbase
data.
fought back because they wanted, I think,
3,000. But Coinbase is a bank. This is not a banking service. Okay, this is very different.
But it's what I'm saying is the IRS wanted that information. If something
there is no information for the IRS on this.
Well, you do have XPubs, but you had them before too on Ledger Live, right?
I mean, there is no real information for the IRS on this, etc. And by the way, again, this is, there will be trade-offs in the future. So, we're not saying that, if you're uncomfortable with this, you can keep your 24 words and, keep doing what you're doing today. This doesn't change anything, okay? Doesn't change anything, doesn't create a backdoor. We can come back on open source, not open source, but in the end, we're a good actor. We don't create backdoors in our user's device. And by the way, if we did, the business goes south very quickly.
Well, your business did go south very quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, I just think that, it's like he's contradicting himself. He's saying, well, the only concern is if a government subpoenas us, but then he's saying, oh, well, this isn't a problem. It's not an issue. It's not a big issue. It just seemed like he was sidestepping the question. And, really, it seemed like to me that he was saying that they will comply with a subpoena and hand over information. And we all know that when it comes to the government, nothing is encrypted. They're going to be able to break that really quickly. Exactly. And so, what are your thoughts?
Well, the first thing that I noticed is that when he started answering the question, he started scratching his head. That's major, let me think what I'm going to say. That sounds, like I'm going to convince the audience that it's not what they're thinking.
Yes.
So that's, that's the first thing that I noticed.
Yeah.
The second thing I would like to say is, I think that the trust is already broken.
Yeah.
Unless they decide to make Ledger open source and everyone in the world can see the code and realize that there's no backdoor. I personally own a Ledger wallet. I think you told me you own one as well, right?
I do. I own several. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I personally think that up until now, Ledger was the way to go. But after seeing these, I might decide to take a different direction.
Yep.
I don't know. Like I said, I would wait to see if they're gonna open source their code, because if they're saying that after the firmware update, you have the option to implement the upgrade where they store your shards of the seed phrase, or if you don't, I mean, if the option's available, that means that the firmware update has the possibility of having that that mechanic installed into your hardware device. So I mean, I don't know, there could be a backdoor. I mean, he's saying there's not, but at the end of the day, who knows? I mean, why is your code not open source? And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the only way that they're gonna win the trust from their users again is by open sourcing their code. If they don't, I honestly I'm gonna leave Ledger. I'm still gonna wait it out a little longer until I find a better hardware wallet that is open source. Because the thing is that there are not a lot of there are not a lot of competitors out there right now. It's
No.
either Ledger or Trezor, and I don't really like Trezor.
Me neither.
So I mean, I'm gonna wait it out. I'm gonna wait it out a couple of months
Mhm.
to see how the situation plays out. And if they do decide to open source the whole thing, and they kill this noise and they go the right way, then I'm gonna stick with them. If not, I'm just gonna wait a little longer and find out which other hardware company comes out later in the future, offering a open source hard wallet. I think the other day I shared that I was looking into a company. I think it's called Keystone, and they're actually I think they already released a hardware wallet that is open source, but it's very fresh. It just happened a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
So I will wait a little longer, maybe until next year, to buy one of their hardware wallets and try it out.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely an opportunity in the space, of course, and we're thinking about, we have it on the roadmap. We're definitely going to be doing a hardware wallet, and it's been very interesting to look at all this and see what's happened. But I think I'm not going to rehash what we talked about last time, but I totally agree with what you said, and I think it's very important. And like I said to you off air at the end of last week, they could have just done something like come up with put out another device that just allowed this recovery, and then just kept the Ledger Nano S completely virgin and not corrupted by by this craziness. But anyway, I agree with you. We'll see what happens, see if they decide to do the right thing or not. But yeah. Well, do we have anything else we wanted to talk about today before we wrap up?
Not really. I mean, I just want to thank all of our viewers for being here. And if you like the podcast, just drop a like, a subscription, and if you want to hear about anything else, just leave a comment. Let us know any topic that you would like to hear from us. And yeah, just thank everyone for watching.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend with us this week, as you do every week. And we will see you again next week. And keep fighting for freedom. Keep expressing yourself, and let us know in the comments how you like the show. Thanks, everybody. Take care.